Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Brick. My name is Nick, and today we are looking at set number 3834, Good Neighbors at Bikini Bottom. This set clearly hails from the Spongebob line of sets. This is one of the strangest LEGO sets that come out when it comes to Spongebob, just because his house looks very dollhouse-esque, and I think that the shaping that they tried to do for his house is pretty good for its time, and I really am excited to get into the many side builds on this thing as well. So let's take a look at the side builds first, and then we'll take a look at the house. First up in the side builds is this very small grill. It's just using some Technic pins on the inside that contain one of these flip features. So you actually have to move this flag right out of the way, and then you just sort of hit this. Sticking with the outside theme, Squidward is sitting on one of these lawn chairs, just using some 1x2 white and red tiles that make up a stripe pattern, and on the bottom there is a 1x2 plate, so that way he can actually sit and you can see he's reading his book. Sticking again with the outside theme, Squidward does also come with this side build of a small umbrella. This is literally the simplest umbrella I've ever seen. It's literally 3 pieces. It's just got a 2x2 cylinder brick on the bottom, and then one of these pole pieces that lead into the disc that have printing on top, and it just got some green and red stripes across the top of that. Up next we have Patrick Star's car, which did not know that Patrick could drive, but alright, and we sure as heck know that SpongeBob can't drive, so maybe it's Squidward's, who knows. But in the back we actually have this little catapult here, and that's the same principle as the grill, and there are 1x2, actually 1x1 studs on the inside that are just white, and you're supposed to like launch the studs at everybody, and I'm not entirely sure what Patrick is launching at people, but I guess we'll see. I'm not going to put the studs in there. I don't want to lose them everywhere. I usually don't do that. On the back you can see he's got a yellow propeller that leads into the back of the car, and it does look like a boat, and I love that because again, everything in the SpongeBob universe is a boat for cars, so you know, it's boating school. It's what SpongeBob has to pass, but for some reason Patrick was able to pass, so we'll see. Moving inside of SpongeBob's house, we have his bed, which is doing the exact same feature as the grill, where you can actually set SpongeBob down and do that, and it doesn't work as well. It doesn't want to really break off there because it will break these tiles that are very loosely placed on top, but you can actually like launch SpongeBob out of bed, which is a way that I wish all beds did. That would be really nice if they just launched you out of bed in the morning. That'd be awesome. Up top there is a 2x2 tile on the top that represents a buoy, and that is just again adorning SpongeBob's bed in the show, so the representation's pretty good here as well. Another inside build would be SpongeBob's iconic red chair, and that also has the buoy down there at the bottom using the same 2x2 printed tile. This is actually pretty cool. There's a lot of memes circling around this specific chair, so to get this in Lego form way before that meme was even a thing is really funny. And yeah, this is actually a pretty good build just for the inside. It's very simple, but I think that again for SpongeBob it's pretty good. Unfortunately, SpongeBob does not have bendable legs. It's just the short legs. I think that if this were nowadays, that SpongeBob would be given either the mid legs or regular legs with a bunch of printing on there. I'm not really sure. I feel like Squidward especially would have been given like the Avatar, the Toy Story legs. We'll talk about that later when we get to the minifigs. One last side build for this set would be SpongeBob's TV. This is all again very, very simple, but it does do one of these techniques where it puts a sticker over 2 bricks, and you can kind of see the separation in the center. I know that a lot of people don't really like that because if you're ever trying to take something apart, you can't without ripping the sticker or like making the sticker damaged, and that's just really unfortunate. Lego has stopped doing this since, and I think they realized that that was kind of the issue, that even though you had the sticker long enough to go across 2 pieces, it wasn't really going to do anything for the set because you weren't able to take it apart. So yeah, I'm glad that they did end up stopping that, but this TV is fairly simple and also fits into that meme that we were talking about. Up next we have SpongeBob's house, and his house is a very simple design, and I do really like the way that they tried to capture the entire pineapple. I think the orange is definitely on par with the show. I think that there was some more detail needed. If this came out today, this house would be decked out. I think that we would get all the curves necessary to make the pineapple shape perfect, but this one, for what we got, was pretty dang good. I love the red line that goes to the center. That is really not at all in the show or in any sort of media that represents his house, so I think it's kind of like Lego's unique take on it. I love the 2 windows that you can see there in the front. Those are just using some clear window pieces, and those are the printed on windows. On the inside, you can see a few different details. On the right, you have a 2x2 sticker tile of Gary. On the left, you have a 2x2 sticker tile of Patrick. And then underneath, you have a fishing lure. Kind of strange that SpongeBob has a fishing lure in his house, but hey, that's what happens in the show too. On the outside, on the front lawn kind of area, you can see some plants that come off, and it all leads up into this kind of, I don't even know how to say it, this angled roof that's using a lot of these wedge plates that sort of goes up into a point, and then it goes up into the leaves up here at the top of the pineapple, and that works really well. That build technique is actually really simple, but it's really unique. It is a 1x1 clip piece that's pointed up, attached to a hammer that is then attached to the rest of those leaf pieces. All of those leaf pieces are kind of jammed in with the hammer right there, and that all just easily clips right onto that, and it honestly does not want to come off. It's perfect right there. And one last detail on the exterior of the house would be this chimney that comes up. That's just built using some blue pieces, and I love the stark contrast between the orange and blue. That's pretty perfect. And I did lie, there actually is one more detail. On the front, you've got his door with the classic spinning wheel, so that's pretty cool. And then it just opens up right here, and you can see the interior of his house from there. This is definitely an odd choice when it comes to the build for the house, just because it is the dollhouse style rather than a full interior with built, but that would be a lot of pieces, especially for the age of this set. I think that if we were to get a SpongeBob line in the future, we would probably get an 18+ set version of his house, which would be insane. That would be really cool to see a giant version of SpongeBob's house. Maybe we could see that one day in the future. Let's take a look at the minifigs. Starting with the minifigs, we have Squidward. Squidward is fairly simple. This one is a significant improvement from the other Squidward that we did get, where his head was just printed on a normal minifig head. That was nightmare fuel. This one's way better. I love the use of the sand green. That is a perfect color for him. He does not have any printing on his legs, so just plain sand green legs, as well as plain sand green arms. He goes up into a tan torso, which is fairly simple as well. There's just some printing underneath the collar there, where you can see his skin right there on his chest. And then going up, that is the only unique part of this fig, would be the head. The head is specially molded to give off the bulbous shape of Squidward's actual head in the show. I love the use of sand green here again. I think that this mold is super unique to Squidward. You can see his nose coming off there. That's perfect for Squidward's face. He does have a frown, as he normally does, and the printing from his eyes all the way into his forehead work fantastically. I think that the detail here are really good. And again, like I said earlier, I think that if we were to get a Squidward fig today, that he would probably have avatar legs or custom molded legs that gave him his tentacles. Up next, we have Patrick Star. Patrick Star is a pretty cool minifig. He does have the shorts printing on his legs, but it's only on the front. You can see that the back does not have any printing, but the front does have that camo, kind of the sky texture that they do always have in the show. He also has a printed belt piece right there on the hip piece for his legs. He also has some printing on his chest with some different dots and freckles, and that's just to represent some texture. On the back, there is absolutely no printing, so it does look like Patrick is naked. I mean, he pretty much is in the show. It doesn't really matter if he has his pants on or not. The head is also a specially molded head, and this is a fairly simple mold. It's kind of just like a blob for a head, and he does have some really good printing. He's got a nice smile on. The eyes are perfect prints, and so are the eyebrows. You can see that there's one more dot right above the eyebrow that give off the texture. Again, Patrick is a very, very plain minifigure. There is not much going on with this fig. I think that nowadays, if we were to get him, we would definitely get printing that would go all the way on the sides for his shorts. I don't think that we would get any sort of special molds. I think that the head is already too perfect for this. They might update the color into a more pinkish color rather than this light nougat, this really light skin tone. I'm not sure what color that is actually in Lego form, but it's definitely unique for this fig. Up next, we have Spongebob with his leaf blower pack on. So this is a unique fig to this set. He does have a very unique expression where he's kind of like, I don't know, biting his bottom lip. That's pretty funny. His backpack does have a sticker on it on these 1x2 brick with a little vent there, and you've got a tube that goes into the little leaf blower, and you can see it's blowing out water. That's such a funny detail because they're underwater. Of course it would be blowing out water. They're literally, the only thing that they can do is blow out water from the leaf blower. And again, you can see that facial expression on the Spongebob. He does not have any back printing, so it's pretty easy to sort of skip that and put something on his back without and worrying about rupturing the detail on the back half. You can see that at the top there's just a 1x1 stud, and then connecting this whole backpack there's a 1x1 clip that attaches to this 1x2 bar piece, and that's how that sort of goes on. It makes SpongeBob look taller than he actually is. He is using plain brown short legs, and his torso is also just plain yellow. There's nothing on that torso underneath his headpiece, but his headpiece is also specially molded. I did almost forget to talk about Gary, the best snail in the sea. He has some exclusive printing on these 2x2 circular discs right there. You can see the swirl that go up, and you can see some polka dots that represent the different dots on his actual shell. This is completely brick built, so the eyes are using a cherry piece. That's a great use of that piece, but it just does not have any printing, so he kind of looks lifeless. That sucks, but that's all right. He has a 2x2 circular brick there as well that has 2 stickers on it that say Gary, and that is supposed to be his food bowl. And one last thing, we did get one jellyfish using this chef's hat in this transparent pink. This is for SpongeBob to catch or Patrick to catch, so this is actually pretty perfect. I love this little detail. Overall, this set is pretty fantastic. We get a lot of cool references to the show, kind of broad though, so you don't have to like narrow down any hyper-specific references. So this is pretty cool. Again, just because of the figs that we get, it is SpongeBob, so a lot of people have been pining for a SpongeBob theme to make some sort of resurgence. I think that that would be a really good idea on LEGO's part. SpongeBob is still pretty popular even today and is a pretty big nostalgia point for a lot of people. I am personally not a fan. A lot of you are going to be mad at that, but I think that still getting SpongeBob sets would be pretty cool for the future. Anyways, that is going to be all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.